to 5 to see who's going to get to play EG next week and whose playoff journey ends here. TSM currently up 1-0 as Bjergsen, the big carry on TSM in game number 1. I want to see if he can do it again. And even though Bjergsen is the person on everybody's mind, right? Because he's the one who made the teleport plays. He's the one who was coming in and making moves across the whole thing. You still got to remember Kabe on that Aphelios was putting down a ton of damage in fights too.
Yeah, and I specifically liked Broken Blade and Biofrost getting a lot of these hooks, a lot of these mini knockups that weren't the stars of a lot of these plays. Obviously, you know, Bjergsen takes the cake, one-shotting a bunch of people, but they did such a good job of setup. I would also look at TSM cleaning up some of the coordination. You did have that mid fight where Dardoch dives in, actually traps himself in there in the Cataclysm. I thought that he was keeping the Cataclysm up to set up his teammates for AoE from Kabe, AoE from Bjergsen, but that never came through. And that mid mistake from TSM actually ended up being a big way that FlyQuest were able to set up and make it so close.
Biofrost wanting to level 1 against Xayah Rakan here. Normally that's a losing fight for most matchups. Of course, that's usually only if Xayah goes for the W first. You can see by the fact that Turtle threw out a couple of feathers there. He had already skilled his Q, so that's not the case. They don't end up getting as punished as they could have been. But nice to see that bottom lane's still going to be as bloody as ever between these squads. Wild Turtle, we talked about a little bit in game number 1, flashing forward, making those trademark aggressive plays. He also got popped quite a few times. The damage potential on this TSM squad is nothing to scoff at, so I want to particularly see if Turtle can step up and make some big moves here in game number 2. It was Power of Evil and Ignar that were kind of the standouts for me in game number 1.
Yeah, I actually really liked the flash forward from Turtle, but he just got punished right after. So maybe Dardoch's going to punish Power of Evil early.
Level 2 gank from the Jarvan. Nice flash after the combo. Over the wall goes Bjergsen to find the last little bit of damage he would need. He gets the first blood. Well done from TSM.
He is picking up right where he left off, Captain Flowers. No hesitation on the flashes from either Dardoch or Bjergsen. And Power of Evil, it's a very difficult choice. So you know if you see Jarvan going for the EQ here, that he's going to have to flash, but if you pre-flash it, he's actually not next to the wall there. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't for Power of Evil, and I think that it was just a really well-executed gank from TSM. His probably only hope was if he had actually run completely parallel to the wall and had the option of early flashing over the wall. That is probably the only way that he could have gone out, but he was slightly in the river, not right next to it, and Dardoch punishes him for it, immediately recognizes the opening, allowing Bjergsen to jump over and have Assassin Victor play number 3.
What was it you were saying in Champ Select? You want to see TSM use his Jarvan better? Stronger early plays, bigger moves? Well, hey, there you go. Turns out when Dardoch doesn't get his red stolen on the first clear, he's able to make some pretty good moves here on this Jarvan early on.
Yeah, pretty good shot calling there, honestly. Let's see this hook.
Biofrost gets some damage down onto Turtle there. Kabe helps out, and not too much to really talk about with it because they'll just still be able to keep farming up nice and easy. Shouldn't be too big of an issue here. Kabe is a little bit ahead of Turtle in terms of farm, as Broken Blade trades pretty aggressively with Solo. Q3 going to take him pretty low. Both junglers finding their way into the fight now as Dardoch and Santorin will trade back and forth. Remember, Trundle outduels Jarvan and almost every other jungler when it's a 1v1, but when Broken Blade's able to get involved and force the threat of those big, hard-hitting sweet spots on the Qs, they force the flash out of Santorin.
Yeah, in a 2v2, Jarvan and Aatrox have more options because of the range and the CC that they have early on into the game. So they can combo, just like you see there. They focus. EQ gets the knockup on Santorin. They get the flash off of him. Broken Blade actually putting in some more work onto Solo, and this is a big wave. Teleport on flag.
He drops down the flag for the teleport to show up. Bjergsen has joined the mix. Solo with a flash trying to get away. Broken Blade will take the kill credit. Bjergsen manages to walk out of the turret range before it would be able to take him down. And TSM, man, they are ready here in game 2.
Jat on the analyst desk was looking for a very ferocious TSM, a proactive TSM. And that is exactly what we're getting in this series. They're consistently finding these plays. The difference this time around is, first game, it took them 20 minutes for them to actually be successful and capitalize on some of those plays. Right now, they are running off the momentum of their Game 1 victory. The confidence is high for this team, and now the execution is there to back it up. So while in the game number 1, Dardoch made a bunch of looks on top and on bottom, trying to get something going and only getting summoner spells, this time they are capitalizing with kills on the carries too.
And yes, Santorin's got more farm than he does. It's 29-16 in the jungle, but when Dardoch is able to facilitate both of his solo laners getting kills, I'll take that trade any day of the week, right? You can have an extra chicken camp, you can have an extra wolf camp, get the lanes ahead, get people moving as a team. Dardoch will clear out this board here in the Pixel Brush. FlyQuest waiting around to see if TSM try to make a move. Oh, this is a standoff. Everybody's just waiting. Nobody's willing to leave the bush. Okay, everybody's done now. It's back onto the crabs. TSM staying patient. They don't want to contest for the crab. They're just going to wait and see. Maybe Dardoch will come back after he takes it. The answer is no. He's going.
It's a virtue, but if you wait around too long, you just end up losing out on the map.
Yeah.
TSM, yeah, they do get the crab, and they'll also get the ward kills moving in afterwards.
Too much patience, and you're just taking a nap at that point. Like, there's no. There's no reason to sit around in the bush for like an entire minute. We've gotta put upper limits on these things.
That's actually what I used to call my procrastination in school. Is just patience is what I had. I had an extreme amount of patience. Here we go. TSM looking for another.
Ignar tries to keep everybody away from Turtle, and he does a good job doing an immediate grand entrance into pulling right back to the safety of his teammate nearby, and it makes it so FlyQuest don't get engaged on there in the 3v2. But Drake is alive. TSM have 4 players here in the bottom half of the river. FlyQuest has no ability to respawn, and 7 minutes into the game, it's TSM, Drake number 1.
Yeah, I mean, this is why in Champ Select, or actually at the beginning of the game, we were talking about what is going to be most difficult for FlyQuest to replicate, and I really did think it was the success that they had in the early game by neutralizing what TSM had. And that's something that you can take for granted if you're like, oh yeah, you know, not too much happened early, Santorin got to out-farm, Dardoch, you know, the ganks only got summoner spells. That is not easily replicated, and TSM showing that they can run off the momentum of game number 1. Solo working on a Rift Trail out here, but there is a control ward in the pit. So you see the rotation on the map. Everybody except for Kabe has headed up. That means FlyQuest have full numbers.
FlyQuest with 4 men in the river. Turtle just in the top lane farming up. They recognize that TSM doesn't want to take this fight because Kabe is still bottom, so they feel safe not needing to bring Turtle over and deprive him of extra EXP and farm here in that top lane. Turtle and Ignar will stick around, and it looks like it'll be Solo sent down to the bottom half of the map to deal with Kabe pushing up here. We still have a long way to go until the turret plates fall, so despite the fact that this wave is big and Kabe is able to put some damage in,
Chuck those chakrams!
Be able to take the whole thing down. Yeah, remember, for anybody wondering, if you don't remember the specific details about Aphelios, the chakram attack speed is based on how long it takes to return to you, so that's why you see him standing 1 inch away from the thing whenever he has chakrams to take turrets. It actually makes you take them fast. So,
yep. Meanwhile,
by the way, I spoke too soon. He just demolished that thing. Plates or not, does not matter, as Solo is now under pressure. 2v1, but no Nautilus ulti means they can't secure the kill. Meanwhile, topside, Rift Herald is summoned up. FlyQuest looking to grab this turret in retaliation against their opponent's bottom side. Yeah, they don't get the first turret bonus, but they have 3 players here. They have Shelly ready to charge a second time, and they'll see what kind of damage they can find on the tier 2.
Yes, you cannot out-push a Rift Herald team. So you force recalls by doing this. If you leave Shelly up, they will get 2 turrets for 1 in that trade. Broken Blade is able to get the execution there, finishes off Shelly, and barely keeps the secondary turret here. But very early on, it was a double recall for TSM's bottom lane. You can see them heading back up now as Broken Blade tries to delay the recalls because they're trying to let the TSM bottom lane catch up on the map rotation here. Meanwhile, bottom side, FlyQuest trying to push out as Solo does his darndest on the gangplank to AoE these waves and work on that Cull. You can see 50 more minions for him to cash in on the Cull gold explosion.
Speaking of gold explosions, look at how much that bottom lane turret did for Kabe, sitting on the Infinity Edge already 10 minutes into the game. Turtle's got a...
Pinata, though, he's about to explode all right.
Well, let's see if that hammer gives him a bonking as the CC goes through and Kabe is going to be absolutely slammed here in this top lane. Ignar down to 200 HP, but that's not going to matter here too much. Biofrost with an ass flash away to make sure that he does not get caught by Power of Evil's ultimate. TSM loses their AD carry, and FlyQuest get themselves on the board.
Interesting as well, that was the teleport and flash of Power of Evil. So even though it is a good play for FlyQuest to get the kill onto Kabe, they also expend a lot of resources, which maybe they could have been a little bit more lean in their execution and save some, because Power of Evil does lose out on a couple more minions, and not having flash or teleport is going to be so scary against Bjergsen. This is the Victor that's not scared to jump into the back line, and he's always looked for Power of Evil like he's got a vendetta or something.
Well, I mean, he doesn't like Power of Evil considering their relationship in professional gaming a rivalry, so maybe this is his effort to shut that down.
So I had our excellent stats team look into this right before the game today, and they looked at LCS. In just LCS, Bjergsen is, before this series, of course, not counting the first game, 8-5 versus Power of Evil, but they also then included the IEM games. And if you add in IEM games, previous to this series, 10-10 for Power of Evil and Bjergsen, just as individual players. A little bit of a spoiler, but game one, Bjergsen took the lead there.
Yeah, for anybody whose eyes, for some reason, couldn't pan to the top of the screen and see the current score. Yeah, TSM won. Sorry for the spoiler, guys.
You never know with some people.
That's true.
Spoilers, serious business. Solo
serious business here in playoffs.
In real time.
Turtle is taking down the tier 2 in the top side. See, I was gonna say serious business in Twitch chat, but we're all over the place now, man. We got Twitch chat, we got YouTube, we got ESPN. Everybody's watching, so I gotta make sure.
Worldwide.
Yeah, exactly. TSM and FlyQuest, Mr. Worldwide. Close enough. Ocean Drake spawns, though, and that is big because last game, both teams wanted the Soul so badly that we got a 7 Drake game. And pretty much everyone out there agrees that Ocean Drake is the strongest Soul. So if TSM can get an Ocean Soul this game, man, that's going to make big impacts in the fight.
Definitely should be a point of power here because TSM this time around have such an advantage. The only thing they've had to give up this game has been the top side turrets, but that's not going to affect the Dragon setup at all. And they do have double control wards in the river. If we look at the gold break points, though, they just got all of their buys off as well. And FlyQuest are depositing so many wards in this red buff top area of the map, though, so maybe they would like to actually take advantage of those early turrets that they were able to destroy on TSM's side. They're contesting the red for a possible counter here.
Now, FlyQuest did manage to get this red from TSM quite a few times last game. We'll see if they can do it here again now. Very big difference in the Rift, though. Last game, it was an Infernal Rift, which meant as FlyQuest moved up to try to intercept this, it was easier to walk up to where it was easier to contest. The brushes were burned away, so their opponents couldn't hide and try to potentially trap them there. But FlyQuest can't quite as easily contest it here in Game 2 on the Ocean map, so they all have to back away. Bjergsen chunks Turtle down to about half HP, and with TSM having control over this mid lane, they'll use that chance to push up. Keep your eyes on Ignar. That'll be the guy going for the initiation if they decide to do it. Dardoch flashing away to keep his life pool high, and TSM will be forced off.
I really like the defense from FlyQuest. They had the option of having Solo trail on that, but they just used the Gangplank ultimate, get a summoner spell out of Dardoch, who has been a super viable target, by the way. It's only a level 7 Jarvan with no flash. will definitely go down early, even though you're going full tank and you rush Cinderhulk. Cinderhulk benefits a lot off of the extra bonus health that you buy after it. It actually doesn't provide a lot of defense just by itself on completion. So definitely will be a viable focus target here for FlyQuest. In the end, they also get the Rift Herald, so FlyQuest having a very strong mid-game kind of resurgence here as they head into level 11 on their big carries, and the Trinity Force does finally get there for Solo. They really are rounding out a lot of their team fight combat power before this Ocean Drake.
Yep, and that's the name of the game, right? Stop that Drake stacking by TSM. Game number 1, TSM managed to grab those first 2, and then FlyQuest was able to shut it down. If you're a FlyQuest fan, that's what you want to see again right here, right now. Stopwatches on both Ignar and Santorin means those engages can be snappy, they can put themselves right in the line of fire, and they cannot be worried about being killed right after. Speaking of being killed right after, as soon as Solo pops those barrels, it's Dardoch and Broken Blade looking for the 2v1. Solo tries to get himself away, finds the barrel, finds the trial by fire, but he won't find the kill into Dardoch. Takes him very low, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, my friend. Dardoch walks away.
Yeah, I believe TSM got the last auto on one of the first barrels, denying some critical damage there, allowing Dardoch to live in it. And this time, it is TSM finding the picks before the objective. This is way earlier in the game, though, so, you know, that pick doesn't mean that Solo won't be here for the Dragon. He can revive. It's just, it's earlier gold for them. They can reset and get down to the Dragon a little bit quicker. Double control wards here for Biofrost, give him confidence. Take off a tiny bit of HP from Ignar.
Yeah, just a little bit. Nothing really worth
support
about.
Victory.
He'll be fine. Yeah, okay, support victory. Sure, that's your supportal combat for the day. One quick trade of Dredgeline into auto attack for 10% health, as Ignar will get a little bit of that back there by firing off the Gleaming Quill. Actually, gets almost all of it back, as Dardoch waits here in the brush, seeing if there's a chance to make a move happen. TSM, once again, priority over the mid lane, means they can step up and put a little bit more damage onto this tier 1. That turret was not taken until TSM got Baron in game number 1. Now they're looking to find the damage onto Dardoch. FlyQuest kill the enemy jungler as the Drake spawns, and that is a big ol' win.
We spent quite a while talking about how viable of a target Dardoch is with no flash, and they interrupt the EQ there. He threw down the flag early, and Ignar got the first knock up, then Power of Evil gets the second knock back with the Shockwave, killing the enemy jungler right before the Ocean Dragon. Solo's dead on top side now, but TSM had already committed to the top side rather than anything to do with the Dragon, so FlyQuest will use Rift Herald at the same time to try and get 2-for-1 on objectives.
The Rift Herald's doing a lot of work here for FlyQuest in this second game. Ignar and Santorin will work together to take down that Ocean Drake. Power of Evil wants to at least get that second charge off of Shelly, even if they can't get the turret all the way finished on the tier 2. And it looks like she will manage to slam that headbutt into the turret before being taken out there by Dardoch. But honestly, you couldn't ask for a better thing than a pick onto the enemy jungler right before Drake starts 18 minutes into the game. So FlyQuest really having things go their way with what they're able to find and the plays they can do to keep this game dead even 19 minutes in.
Oh, that's what I love, Flowers. This is always give and take, because when FlyQuest take, they get the kill, and they're like, all right, sweet, Dragon's ours. We got bottom side. What did TSM do? Yeah, oh, no, let's go home and cry. Oh, we lost, they're going to get the Dragon? No, they go top side, and they get something for themselves. So both of these teams have done a good job, I think, of setting up their counters. You lose one side of the map, that means the opposite side of the map is an opportunity for you to try and punish. And they punish FlyQuest's weak side. You can say, hey, maybe FlyQuest should have communicated better with Solo. Maybe Solo should have given up turret rather than trying to hold there. But I think it's really good to recognize how both teams are keeping their eyes on the next opportunity rather than wallowing or playing completely defensively.
Here we go. Dive coming out from TSM. TP going to show up here in a moment. Bjergsen has joined the fray. Broken Blade taken very low, and he's going to be forced to flash. Now the counterattack coming out. Power of Evil. Shockwave finds one. and Solo survives. TSM, they've got this blood in their eyes for Solo, and it's punished here in the bottom lane.
Oh, you better run, though.
Here comes everybody to collapse. Power of Evil is just going to bait him out. Ignar's going to provide the next target. Turtle showing up with the damage. Okay, there's another laser. Turtle's down to half HP. All right, boys, let's clean this up.
How does he get out of this one?
All right, the ball's not going to find the mark. There we go. Good job, Turret. Okay. That's the collapse from FlyQuest. Granted, they didn't have to overcommit there. They didn't need to go super hard and risk somebody getting exploded by Bjergsen in a point-blank combo. But, yeah, it did take them a couple extra seconds to finish him off. Nothing on the map to really fight for. It's too early for either of these teams to really go for Baron at this point. So, good pickup, good kill into Bjergsen, more money in FlyQuest pockets.
I mean, both teams are focusing very heavily on also picking off side lane pushers, right? That was a dive that TSM started up, and they're so deep in FlyQuest territory. Eventually, they do get chased down. But this is really going to keep you checking behind you, and I think that the map right now being so dark of wards also leads to a lot of these opportunities where they're picking off these side lane players and trying to set up for the next one. That does mean FlyQuest now heading into the mid game with a decent gold lead for themselves. And
right.
These are the FlyQuest branded Drakes that we talked about. Another ocean will arrive. More trees will be planted. And we're going to head towards the Ocean Soul at full speed. TSM trying to set up their vision first this time, though.
I think the biggest thing about that last play, bottom side, that tied this game up, by the way, at 4-4 in kills, is the fact that it was a completely unforced error from TSM. They're the ones who made the call, let's dive solo. They're the ones who also committed the Bjergsen teleport. They committed 3 players and Broken Blade's flash and Bjergsen's teleport. 2 big, long cooldown summoners to have both those players die. And yes, there was a response that had to be made by FlyQuest expending summoner spells and ultimates and whatnot as well. But when you have an unforced error that just causes nothing but negatives for your team, that's something that they really need to keep an eye on. I'm reminded of the play last game where Dardoch dives the enemy inhibitor turret, and you were talking about the communication not being correct for that. Whether it's on Dardoch or whether it's on everybody else is irrelevant. It just wasn't lined up, and that is one thing this team's going to need to stay on top of moving forward. Almost 23 minutes into the game, we're going to be getting into some big spicy fights here soon, my friend. Everybody's got to be on the same page. I would prefer if they're all reading from the same paragraph, but we'll see who dials it in better.
Maybe we'll have desynced skipping paragraphs here. We skip ahead a little bit as they're focusing on the dragon now. FlyQuest, we're looking at the possible pick on top side. Now returning into the deep jungle here.
Nice damage down to Dardoch there, forcing out the flash. Now, Turtle and Ignar both losing half their health in the counterattack from TSM there. Kabe's turret doing some good work onto them to make it so it's not a total loss in the trade. But Dardoch with no flash and 400 HP is not the kind of guy that you feel safe sending into the Drake pit to contest a smite. Ignar, barely getting away from the dredge line there.
Yeah, and they have a ward here. That ward up in the second brush is critical because it saw Dardoch still low HP, still around. Like you're saying, he is on a one-way ticket if he goes in there for the Dragon Steel. Ignar's
on a one-way ticket straight for the enemy team. Goes in the stasis, keeps himself alive. Now looking to get away. Dardoch is down. No opportunity to survive when you start the fight off with that low of HP. Bjergsen can't find any sort of a counter kill. Ignar got great value out of that fully completed Zhonya's Hourglass. Not just stopping with a stopwatch, but wanting to make sure he can drop that active in every team fight for the rest of the game, and it manages to get them a Drake and a kill.
Yep, that's what he did last game, what we were talking about. That's why he rushed this item in game number 2. And even looking at it, you think, oh, he is a bit too far ahead of the rest of the team, but that's why he's holding his flash. That's why he rushes this item. TSM also thinking the similar thing. They wanted to punish him for that engage there, but Ignar holds both of them. And this is what you see all the time in pro play. They will almost always activate their stopwatch or their Zhonya first to bait their opponents into expending extra time and extra cooldowns around the stopwatch player. Then they will have their flash for after the stopwatch comes out. Then they will have their mobility skills for after the stopwatch finishes, and once again pulled off with great aplomb there by Ignar. Ocean Drake number 2, and they got a kill, so double tree planting.
Double trees, and make it quadruple because remember they're doubled for playoffs too. So lots of trees all over the place. Everybody's feeling good, except for Dardoch because he's the guy who ended up getting popped there at the end of the fight. Speaking of Dardoch, one thing that I want to point out since we were talking about items, Gargoyle Stoneplate done for Santorin and Biofrost. So they're going to be the tanky boys here in these fights. But Dardoch went for a Knight's Vow second. That means he is going to provide extra defensive power to Kabe. However, he does not have that immediate tankiness for himself when he jumps in the middle of everyone in these fights. So Dardoch will be very vulnerable to focus fire from FlyQuest if he goes in and the team's not immediately there to back him up.
It also gives you healing if Kabe is dealing damage. So it's an item that relies on team coordination. Kabe has to be able to follow up on those cataclysms that Jarvan is going in on, or they have to not go for them because they do have the possibility of layering those CCs. They've got the gravity field from Bjergsen. You can just completely envelop the cataclysm. It's one of the best little jungle mid combos because you can force summoner spells very easily just by layering them. But it is going to require that coordination. And currently, Bjergsen is behind on the completion. Power of Evil sitting on full death cap, whereas Bjergsen just has the double NLRs in inventory, which means FlyQuest a lot more power as far as the AoE burst coming from their mid laners.
Now we're seeing Biofrost land a dredge line down onto the enemy AD carry. Turtle immediately going to have to use the ulti just to stay alive. Broken Blade TPing in. Exhaust down onto him to make sure he's not able to engage onto Turtle. Santorin walking away now. The ulti used by Solo to make sure the fight is disengaged. But FlyQuest are still sticking around. Look at Ignar tempting fate, daring TSM to walk up and try to make a play onto him. Turtle has been able to rapidly regenerate a lot of health through healing up. And that means TSM were not able to find their mark. FlyQuest with a good job disengaging.
Yep, and they got more summoner spells because of the outplay there. That was double summoners, or double teleports from Broken Blade and Bjergsen, plus the flash from Bjergsen to try and finish it off there. So FlyQuest very happy in setting up for this next Ocean Drake. Flashes are on 5-minute cooldowns, teleports, 6 minutes. They vary now. Get reduced. They do get reduced now because of the top lane buffs. So not 6 minutes at this current time. But they won't be up for the dragon fight that's about to come up. So FlyQuest now will have the extra setup.
And by the way, look at Ignar's inventory. It is the fabled double stasis. The 5 seconds of immunity that you can just use one, immediately use the other one right afterwards, and bait your opponents forever. So much playmaking potential here on this Rakan in these river fights, especially in close corridors, especially if they're able to get priority and force TSM to walk down here and check this area, which it looks like they will. Broken Blade getting back to base now, has to heal up. Remember, he's the one who used TP, Bjergsen too, in that last fight. So that means no teleports available for this team to try to come down and contest that Drake. But Kobe, why would you want to contest the Drake when you could just go for the Baron? That's the call from TSM. They're saying, look, if they want it, they can have it. We're going to go over here. FlyQuest decide instead Solo will be the man to take over the Drake because he's able to at least chase TSM off the Baron by using his ulti. Ignar now caught between a Broken Blade and the rest of TSM, but he's still able to walk away. Solo coming up to join the rest of the team. It could be a full-on 5v5. Nice damage coming through. Biofrost going to be killed before we can even press the R key. Nicely done from the side of FlyQuest. Ignar's got one and he finds a second, but Dardoch is able to buffer through the CC with the EQ animation. Broken Blade will continue running. Santorin takes a chomp right out of the turret, and now they're going to continue chasing after Broken Blade. He flashes and World Enders just to get away. FlyQuest have consumed many resources from TSM. They got a kill. They got Broken Blade's combat effectiveness in the ulti and the flash, and they'll move right back towards the Drake.
They find it again. FlyQuest with the shockwave to finish it off there. Another kill, another dragon. Dardoch, is he going to go for the steal?
We aren't done yet. Dardoch going in. Cataclysm's going to trap Turtle, who's now under positional pressure from Kabe, who's trying to make sure he maintains the angle to fire into Turtle here. Dardoch going to be forced to run away. The Drake is very low. Kabe now being chased down. He will get the kill onto Turtle as he dies. Oh, no, wait, I literally don't even know what I'm saying. Turtle's right there on the screen. I got so many health bars popping off all the time. Forgive me for that one. Turtle stays alive. Kabe drops. Dardoch and Broken Blade drop as well. That's 3 players dead on the side of TSM. FlyQuest moving up towards the Baron pit now. It's Bjergsen and Biofrost versus the world, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler here. You don't fight this. Not 2v5, not even with a
The world wins.
The world wins in a situation like that. That is a Baron take. That is sole point. Everything is coming up FlyQuest here in Game 2.
Turtle was just letting those feathers fly. Dardoch was poking around the dragon. He kept walking up, threatening the steals. Turtle just stops DPS on the dragon, starts burning down Dardoch, and he can't do anything. He tries to flash away afterwards. Turtle then uses 90% of his health bar to bait for the extra kill, knowing that he has his own ultimate to rely on. And he has really stepped up in playoffs. 2 quick objectives for FlyQuest. The spicy run back going very well for them as they took the exact same champions into Summoner's Rift, into TSM, saying that they have the confidence that they can clean up the errors from game number 1, and they have done just that.
11 herbs and spices necessary for his signature draft here from FlyQuest. Pushing up the bottom lane now. In game number 1, when we saw TSM take the first Baron, they had only taken an outer turret from their opponents. There was a lot of standing gold on the map to build that Baron power play and find success through the extra gold they were able to secure for themselves. FlyQuest are telling a very different story here in game number 2. They've already taken down all the tier 2s of their opponents, and now they have to pressure into the base. They have to try to crack this inhibitor turret line, which can be very difficult. They're setting up the split push in a couple of different lanes now. You can see Turtle applying the pressure here to the mid lane inhibitor turret, nearly able to take that one down. Power of Evil remains in the bottom lane for that split threat, as Biofrost is the target. The fight starts breaking out here in the mid lane, but TSM is able to disengage. Bottom lane inhibitor turret still tanking damage. Mid lane inhibitor is gone. Bjergsen has to retreat now. He knows the rest of FlyQuest is walking over. It's inhibitor 2 under fire, and FlyQuest is doing this so cleanly with this Baron.
Yeah, it doesn't look like FlyQuest are going to need 3 of them as they take down both inhibitors with still a minute left on the Baron. There's a minion wave every 30 seconds, so that means 2 more minion waves for them to push with. Solo's already got it up to the turret. They could get all 3 in a single push, Flowers.
All 3 inhibitors down when only 2 minutes remain until that Ocean Soul gets on the board. Would be a nightmare situation for TSM. They need to try to repel FlyQuest before they lose this final inhib. Ignar manages to find some CC, but the rest of the team isn't nearby to follow up. That means that TSM still have to walk away, though. They've lost half the health on their front lines. Turtle and the rest of FlyQuest really want to take this inhib down. Ulti came out from Kabe, but it didn't find a lot. Bjergsen and Broken Blade in retreat. The ulti comes through from Solo. Bjergsen still in the run from that one. Nexus turrets. Now the thing's taking damage. It is the minions putting so much work into those. Shockwave finds a couple of TSM players, but it won't do much. It doesn't need to do much. The TSM base is a ruin.
Yeah, Power Vivo also got some minions there, so he might have just gotten his extra gold he needed for his Leandries. There's so much money on the side of FlyQuest after a push like that. When you take 6 objectives at once, they'll be able to reset. They don't need to finish the game on that push, and they can just go back to base, complete everything, and return to finish the job. This is only 34 minutes into the game, so double stacked super minions down all lanes is so hard for TSM to deal with. Double teleports just to get the push started that much quicker. FlyQuest, all you have to do when you have double super minions like this from both inhibitors, or from all 3 inhibitors down, you just stand inside the base. You throw out your ranged abilities and damage, and TSM just doesn't have the DPS to even clear out the PvE situation.
They are under-geared for the raid, my friend. TSM have to find some sort of outplay here, but it is so difficult. Broken Blade flashes away from the Shockwave. that cooldown is now expended. So that means that TSM's aware Power of Evil's not at his full team fighting strength for 40 seconds or so, but they have to defend their Nexus turrets. Turtle throws out a couple of auto attacks. That first Nexus turret already nearly taken down. Solo trying to disengage. TSM trying to make the move. Dardoch at the front line going to be stasis up. Cataclysm. Chaos Storm rampaging through FlyQuest, but it's not doing the damage. This is not the 6 game number 1. Broken Blade falls in the back into the fight. Kabe now taken out by Turtle. 80 carry on 80 carry. Violence in the TSM base ends in tragedy for TSM, and that is Nexus going down. That is a tied up series.
That is the clap back from FlyQuest. 1-1 now in this series. We were hoping for 5 games, Flowers.